when it comes to productivity, when it comes to like focus, attention, all these kind of things, that there are prerequisites that if you do those, it will make it much easier. So for example, the fact that I slept at Fajr time and I had a different sleep to my normal sleep patterns, it would affect me differently today. Part of when you're going to try and have a good day of work or good focus or anything, all that stuff, I think it's about the prerequisites. So for example, making sure that you have good sleep, making sure that you have energy, making sure that you're hydrated, making sure that you've planned out like the day before exactly what you're going to be studying, what you're going to be doing, all this kind of stuff. So the first thing is, I think, prerequisites. The second thing is that I would recognize that I think there's a big difference in the way our day works. So I feel like when you first start the day, the energy, the focus, the attention, all of that is at the height. It's the most, because you've just woken up from like 6-7 hours, whatever it is, sleep, and your body is very alive right now, mentally, physically, spiritually, all this stuff. And this is why, like, apart from Fajr and the morning routine, that is the time for you to do the most important work of the day. And so in the same way with the subjects, I would do that kind of stuff, like the tasks that are the most important, that require the most mental focus, attention, all this stuff, I would do all of that first. So I'm saying that before you get to task switching where you are, I'm saying there's a whole load of stuff you do beforehand, and then you want to make sure that you prioritize and plan the tasks accordingly in a good way. And a lot of people have said this, and I found it to be very useful, where you should actually plan the stuff you're going to do tomorrow the night before. And there's a whole load of theory and research out there that your subconscious mind at night actually works on those things. So if I said, like, tomorrow morning I'm going to write a speech, it's going to be about this, and then I sleep on that, there's research that suggests that just you thinking of that the night before, it will actually be processed in your subconscious throughout the night. And so when you wake up, you're in a much better situation than when you wake up in the morning and go, right, what do I do today? Okay, maybe I'll write a speech. So I think all of this stuff, planning and preparing and doing all this stuff beforehand, will be really beneficial. Then what you want to do is you want to make sure that when you're actually doing the first task, for example, is you don't want to like wear yourself out. So for example, if you sit in a place for like 2 hours or whatever, it's really going to wear you out if you don't take any breaks, if you don't do anything like that. So you need to make sure that when you do that first thing, you need to make sure that you're doing it effectively. So maybe you do it 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break, or you do like 50 minutes and then 10-minute break, or however, but make sure that you're doing it properly so that you're not exhausted, because a lot of the time what happens is that you get exhausted from the first task and then you don't want to do the second one. So making sure that you're like in a good position for that. And then I would say, like, once you've actually finished that first task, then obviously I would take a break and all this thing, and you just need to realize that the hardest part might be starting, but you can do other things. So for example, doing wudu, something physical like wudu, is very good for like freshening you up, both physically but also mentally. You could also do some form of meditation. You just close your eyes, you could just sit back and you can just process what you've done, process where you are, take some deep breaths, even like deep breathing and this kind of meditation stuff. 1 to 2 minutes of it, if you just do 1 to 2 minutes, it actually really helps to clear your mind out as well. And then you can just kind of like switch on to that other task work. So for example, let's say I was going to work the whole day today and I'm going to start working at 6. Well, around 5:30 I would sit down and go, right, what do I do? What's done today? These are all the things done. What am I doing tomorrow? What's the priorities for tomorrow? And then I would basically write those out. And that itself would basically then, the next morning when you wake up, there's no time being wasted. You get straight into that thick of the action. So part of what I would do with my task, let's say I've got 5 things tomorrow, part of what I would do is I would try and look at what is the most important task, not just urgent, but what is the most important task, and what is the task that requires like really that deep work. Whatever requires that deep work and is the important one, that's the thing that's going to get done first, right? And sometimes it might be, this is very important and this is the thing I don't want to do the most. So it's like, okay, let me do that one thing first, especially because I've got the whole don't check my phone thing. So I'm like, okay, I need to get that thing done if I want to check my phone. So then that gives me like a very big motivation to really get that action done. I think the key is prioritization. It's like, even if you said, right, I'm not going to do all the things on my list, but I did the most important things first and I got those done, I think that itself would be really helpful. But if you're feeling overwhelmed, the main thing is, are you actually doing it? If you're not doing like the 5, 6, 7, 8 things you're saying, then you could just be like, okay, let me pick the top 3 things that I must do. And you just basically focus on those top 3 things. You make sure you get those done no matter what, and then you can kind of do the other thing. The other thing I'd say is that sometimes what I do as well is I basically have the high leverage tasks first, I'll do those for 3-4 hours, whatever. But then later in the day, when I'm like lazy and all this kind of stuff, then maybe I'll do calls, maybe I'll do those little itty bitty kind of things that you can just get done very quickly. And I might do like 10-15 actions like that, which are just quick 5-minute, 10-minute actions. But that's later in the day when I'm kind of feeling like lazy and all of that.